she borrowed her 1979 Buick and just left the parking lot, and there was a train that runs north-south right through there, and she didn't hear the signal, and she ran into the side of a locomotive as he comes through the intersection. He didn't see her in time. He couldn't have stopped anyway. He's on the horn blowing it. She runs into it. The front of the car gets caught up in the wheels of the train, so it starts rolling the car over and over, and he's on the brake trying to stop it. And about 300 feet later, he gets it to a stop, and the car's rolled over and over and over and wedged in between the locomotive and another train on the next track. So that by the time it came to a stop, there was no more car. It was just a ball of metal, twisted metal. So I climbed up on top of the car, and I'm looking inside, just trying to get a picture of what I need to do, not thinking I'm going to see anyone in there alive. And I finally found a little crack, and I looked down in there, and I can see the side of this girl's forehead and blood running down the side. And so I took my glove off, and I reached down in, and I'm kind of twisting around, stretching, trying to reach and feel for a pulse. And I can't see because I don't have enough room. I've got my hand like this, and a hand grabs me. And I almost jumped out of my skin. So I pull my head back, and I'm looking down my arm, and this eyeball is staring back at me. So I said, what do you say? What would you say? I said, you all right? And she said, yes, get me out of here. And one of the things that when you're doing rescues, you have to develop a relationship just like that with the victim, because they're helpless, and you're their only connection with getting back to their normal life. So you try to keep them calm, and you try to reassure them everything's going to be okay. So I told her, I'm going to get you out of here, but it's going to take a while. So I go back and I talk to the girl, and I'm trying to calm her down, and I'm asking her questions like, how did you get into this mess, And so she's telling me, and I'm trying to keep her mind off of the situation she's in and just get her thinking about something else. So she's telling me that it's her aunt's car, and I said, she's concerned that her car is messed up, and I said, honey, there is no car. I said, forget the car. Your aunt will not mind. Let's just get you out of here. So we began to work, and we had people, executives from the railroad company, surgeons from the university hospital, everyone's coming out there. And I had a very good boss, or boss's boss, the major was there by then, and he trusted me because I had a reputation for being able to handle situations like that. So he trusted my word and kept everyone else away. And we just began to, my partner, the guy who drove the front of the hook and ladder, excuse me, his name was Gene. And I said, Gene, you take the wrenches and crawl under the locomotive and start unbolting every bolt you can find, just to try to relieve some pressure on it. And she was the only one in the car. So I began to spread the metal apart from the top. And I worked slowly, deliberately, trying not to do anything that will cause things to shift. And I'm talking to her all the time, and we keep spreading metal, and I'm getting a hole big enough for me to crawl into from the top. So I've got to go in and head first upside down. And as I begin to get the hole big enough to get into, and I keep going down and digging more, and I'm kind of like diving into this pool of metal, I got down past my shoulders, and you're trapped, you can't get out, you panic, and you want out. And I could feel that coming into me, so I knew how she was feeling. So, at about the same time, I realized this thing is drenched with gasoline. The gasoline tank had ruptured. Fortunately, it didn't explode. But we're in a situation where a spark could set the whole thing off. And I'm down in there, and I'm like 28, 30 years old. I don't want to die yet, And so you get scared, but you think when you have time to think about, I know as a firefighter or a policeman or anyone who does emergency work, I'm going to get in situations where I don't have control. So you trust your faith, you trust that if it's not your time, you're not going to be killed, and you just go on and do the job. But still you have that fear, you can't help that. If you're not afraid, there's something wrong with you. So I backed out for a second, and I looked back to make sure that they had the hose lines set up in case it did spark, knowing that it won't matter, because gasoline burns very quickly and with a lot of force. So if it catches fire, I just know that that was it, and I was supposed to die that night. So I take a deep breath and I go back in, and I keep spreading. And I get down after maybe 45 minutes or so, I'm down to where my left ear, is right in front of her mouth. And we're talking all the time. And I'm joking, and she's laughing, and then she'd say, "Don't make me laugh, it hurts," you know. So I just keep going, and with her mouth right in front of my ear, suddenly she screams. Banged my head on a piece of metal, cut my head, and I reach up and I bring down blood. Now I've got more blood on me than she's got on her. And of course I had to take all my gear off because there's not enough room, so I don't have a helmet, no coat, no boots. And I said, "Why did you do that?" She said, "I don't know." She said, "I just got scared." I said, "Didn't I tell you I'm going to get you out of here?" And she said, "Oh, yes, and I believe you." But I said, "Okay, it's no problem." I said, "But if you have to scream again, just tell me, and I'll back out, and you can scream all you want." She said, "No, I won't scream again." So I just keep spreading metal. Now, this car had a vinyl interior, kind of like leather, and as the car rolled into a ball, it kind of wrapped her in the vinyl, and that's what kept her from getting cut up. So after I got through all the metal, now I had to start cutting the vinyl, peeling it back and getting around. And I got to the point where I thought she should be able to get out. She was, if you have to imagine this, as the car collapsed on her, her feet came up under her butt, her shoulders are bent down like this, her head is turned off to the side, and her right arm is out like this, and her left arm's like this. So she's been in that position now for, I don't know, an hour and a half. And so I got her to where I thought I should be able to get her out, but I couldn't get her to move. She was wearing a little yellow dress with a belt tied in the back. So it occurred to me, this belt could be caught on something. So I reach around and I find it, yeah, it was caught. So I said to her, "I think I'm going to have to cut your dress off." And she said, cut. I said, no, I'm just kidding. I think I can get you out. So I take my knife and I cut the belt, and she starts to climb out. So I back out ahead of her. She climbs out of the car. She has a scrape on her forehead. That's where I saw the blood on the side of her head. And another scrape on her left knee. And other than that, she was not injured at all. This is one of the more amazing things I saw in my 22 years. Now, it takes a lot of perseverance to work through situations like that. It takes a lot of other things too. But that's just another example of what perseverance means as a firefighter, and to everyone, to all of us every day. She won't let them take her away until you talk to her. Okay, so I walk over to the ambulance, and she's lying there on the gurney, and she's perfectly fine. She could have gotten up and driven away if she had a car. But she never said a word to me. She just grabbed my right hand and pulled it up and kissed it. And all the dirt and the grime and the things that I went through for the 22 years was worth it. After that one moment, I never again thought to myself, why am I doing this? That's why I was doing it. Any questions about that story? You understand what perseverance can mean to you now in everyday life?